Hey everyone, we're back with another full Commander update. We're doing my 5-color Assassin deck. I know, another Wooburg. This one's led by Ezio, Auditore to Firenze, a human assassin with a 1 black, 1/1 cost, or two costs essentially, 1 black, 1 colorless. He has Menace off the hop, and he has a really cool skill that I really like. The assassin spells you cast have free running 2 black, which really does make some big changes, especially if you have 2 black or something that gives you a black mana that you can tap for. It gives you a lot of free options, really. And then he has his other ability. Whenever Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 1 of each color if that player has 10 or less life. When you do, that player loses the game. He's really good for taking things out of the hop, and honestly, he's really fast to get onto the field, and even when you do lose him a couple of times, he has such a low cost that it's not even that bad. So you can really reset his tactics multiple times. So I'm going to pull that aside, and we are going to go straight into the big pile. This is the big pile. This is all of our assassins. We have Eivor battle ready, a 5 cost, 1 red, 1 white, 3 colorless. Comes in with vigilance and haste, and whenever he attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipment you control to each opponent, making him a really good crowd control at a 5/5. And also, I'll pull out this one next. Nice small cost. A 1 red, 1 white Arbaaz Mir. And he's great because whenever Arbaaz Mir or another non-token historic permanent enters the battlefield under my control, I deal 1 damage to each opponent and I gain 1 life. So these two are great cards to start off the battle with, especially when you take into the fact that you can get it for 2 black. So you can bring in your Eivor for a small cost versus your Arbaaz Mir for a small cost itself. Or if you don't even have the red-white, you can pay for it that way. We also have the other Eivor Wolf-Kissed, also with Trample and Haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may mill that many cards. You may put a Saga card and or a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Just the first handful. Honestly, I have a lot, so I'm going to bring out a couple of them next. We're going to do Aveline, Sean and Rebecca, and Adéwalé, Breaker of Chains. Aveline's great because she has Death Touch, and whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on that creature. And has Disguise, which allows you to bring it out for a smaller cost. Upside Down is a 2/2 with War 2, which is really cool. But again, with Ezio's ability of costing 2, you can bring out all 3 of these for just 2 black if you hit your one opponent with an attack from any of your assassins or your commander. Go on to Sean and Rebecca, actually, because they have a nice mechanic as well. When Sean and Rebecca agents enter the battlefield, search your graveyard, hand, and library for a card called the Animus, and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. And it also has a tap for colorless, and when I do mill 2 cards, I do have the Animus right here. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target legendary creature card from your graveyard with a memory counter on it. Until your next turn, target legendary creature you control becomes a copy of target creature card in exile with a memory counter. Activate only as a sorcery. And honestly, I do have to say this becomes a really broken combo, because I do have another card that adds to this. Altaïr Ibn-La'Ahad. First strike, and whenever he attacks, exile up to 1 target assassin creature card from your graveyard with a memory counter on it. Then for each creature card you own in exile with memory counters on them, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Exile those tokens at end of combat. So you see how these 3 cards create a really broken combo. And honestly, since it's legendary creatures, you will notice every one of the assassins I will be showing are legendary creatures. Adéwalé, whenever it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library, put an assassin, pirate, or vehicle card from among them into your hand, and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. And whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, you may return Adéwalé from a graveyard to your hand. Or copy it as an attacking creature. We also have Layla and Roshan, Hidden Magister. First strike, when Layla enters the battlefield, and whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Again, all of these assassins are historic. Other creatures you control are assassins in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Face down creatures you control have menace, and whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So, literally, you get all sorts of options with these cards. I don't see a lot of assassin stacks. I should look harder. Because some of them are just so much fun. And, like, you have Ezio, Brash, Novice. He's not an assassin off the rip. But whenever he attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, and whenever he has 2 or more counters on it, he gains first strike and becomes an assassin. Goes a long way from here to there. Let's see, who's a fun one? Oh, here's a good couple. Alexios and Cassandra. Alexios is a really fun one. He has Trample, and whenever Alexios, Deimos of Kosmos attacks each combat if able, he can't be sacrificed and can't attack its owner. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player gains control of Alexios, untaps it, and puts a 1/1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. So he literally is basically group hug. He goes around the field, gets massive, just can't attack one person. Me. We also have Cassandra, the other side of that game, has haste, and when she enters the battlefield, search your graveyard, hand, and library for a card named the Spear of Leonidas, which is in the deck, I do believe. I can pull it out. And whenever a creature you control with a legendary equipment attached to it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Oh. Did I misplace it, or did I... Might not have it in here, actually. I thought I did. Guess I have some works to do. We have Senu, Aya, and Bayek as well. These are all fun ones. Bayek has double strike, and as long as it's my turn, other historic creatures you control have double strike. So you can see how this mechanic really builds for the assassins, because they just start to overlap and stack their abilities, especially once you have more of them on the field. Aya has Menace Lifelink, and whenever a historic creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Menace. And as you've noticed, I stopped really talking about how much they cost, because as this deck has proven, once Ezio hits the field, their cost really doesn't matter. It's literally just a 2/2. And once you have Roshan on the field with Ezio, it matters even less, because all of your cards just become assassins. They all get the 2 cost, and you can really make some broken combos with it. Senu is another great one, especially with Altaïr, because it has Flying Vigilance, and then tap Exile Senu. I gain 2 life and scry 2, And whenever a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if Senu is exiled, put it onto the battlefield attacking. So literally, Altaïr comes into the field, attacks, someone goes to block at least one of the many things that are exiled, and then one of them gets through, and Senu comes back. Or if she's been exiled, you get two of them. We also have Arno Dorian, Death Touch. Other assassins you control get a +2/+0. He also has the Disguise mechanic, which is a great card. Shao Jun, Leap Strike as long as it's my turn. She has Flying and First Strike, as well as Rope Dart. Tap 2 untapped artifacts I can control, and she deals 1 damage to each opponent. Honestly, as you can see, there is a lot of crossover here. Next up, we have the Fries. We have Jacob, Lydia, and Evie Frye. Jacob and Evie are partners. They partner with each other when they enter the battlefield. I get to put the other one into my hand and then shuffle. Evie has a tap cost, 1 tap. Draw a card, then discard a card, and when you discard a creature card this way, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Whereas Jacob has, whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target assassin or card with free running from your graveyard. If you do, copy it, you may cast that copy. And since Ezio is always on the field, usually, all of our assassins have free running. So you can literally copy any of them. We also have Lydia Frye. Lydia Frye can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And the beginning of your end step, surveil X, where X is the number of tapped assassins. And as you can tell, we build up and have a lot of them. Only a couple left. We have Desmond Miles, human assassin from the future. He gets +1/+0 for each other assassin you control and each assassin card in your graveyard. And whenever Desmond Miles deals combat damage to a player, surveil X, where X is the number of the amount of damage it dealt to that player. We also have Basim. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Basim can't be blocked this turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. And whenever Basim deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. So again, another really broken one. You cast something, Basim hits, you get free running. Literally just lovely. We also have Shay Cormac, one of the best assassins in the deck, I think, outside of Altaïr, because of his 1 cost. He's only 1 black, 1 white, very small, but you pay 1. Permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof, indestructible, protection, shroud, and ward until end of turn. And whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, put a bounty counter on that creature. And whenever it goes down, put 2 1/1 counters on Shay Cormac. And I've forgotten how to say it. I know his English name is Connor. Rotun Haketun. I butchered that. I've looked it up a handful of times. I could literally bring it up again. But he is also a really good one. 3 cost for 3/3, and as long as he hasn't dealt any damage yet, it has hexproof and can't be blocked. So again, lots of these assassins play into the fact that they can trigger other assassins' abilities because they just go around damage. Or blockers. And whenever Connor deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with menace. When you do, return a target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then attach it to that token. So again, lots of graveyard retrieval, lots of fun mechanics, lots of things to bring those forward. Going to go into a couple of really simple ones here. We have just a nice couple of shiny lands. Most of these are simple, like the Brotherhood headquarters and your command tower. Tap for command colors or for assassins. And then we have the lairs. I like the lairs because when you enter the battlefield, sack it unless you return a non-lair land you control to its owner's hand. So what I like to do is I'll tap things that don't have to be, or that come into the field not tapped, like a basic land. Spend those, and then once they're spent, I'll play my land, add that spent mana back to my hand, and I have mana for next turn. And then I get multiple color mana like these ones. Speaking of which, nothing too crazy here. Just some basic lands. A couple of multicolors. Again, a very nice artwork for the assassins. I have a couple of those. And then a couple other multicolors. And just recently, the girlfriend's cousin went over to Europe and brought me back these, which I think are really cool, and I've added them in place of just normal single mana cards in my deck. So I thought those were really cool, and they're a nice little addition. Just a little bit of flavor text. Back into this, we do have a couple other we have one more legendary creature. Socrates, Athenian teacher. He's a defender, comes in, small cost, has hexproof as long as it's untapped. So as long as I never swing with it, it has defender and hexproof. Until end of turn, target creature gains, if this creature would deal combat damage to a player, prevent that damage, this creature's controller and that player each draw half that many cards rounded down. He's basically a nice little version of LOL with card draw. So no one usually targets him unless they're really mean. And then we have a Labyrinth Advisor, trample. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1 and 1 red. And whenever you do, target creature can't block this turn. You can see why it's in the deck. Escarpment Fortress, another fun one. Defender, reach. Other creatures I control get a +1/+0. And whenever I attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. That's in there just for, again, a little bit of card draw, plus also that boost. This is a fun one. Loyal Inventor, Human Artificer. Vigilance, 2/3, 2 and a 1 blue. But when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, then shuffle. I may put it into my hand if I control an assassin, otherwise put it on the top of my library. It's a lovely small cost tutor, and it comes onto the field, and if you have the right cards, you can treat it just like an assassin. So it literally comes in, has vigilance, and it also gives you a free tutor to your hand. And I do have one other creature gimmick in this deck, and then we'll go on to the instants and the equipments. This one does involve a land. The World Tree. As you can tell, the World Tree enters the battlefield tapped, has a tap for 1 green, and as long as you control 6 or more lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Literally, really nice in late game. And then, as you can see, it has the mana, or the tap for 10, 2 of each color. Sack the World Tree, search your library for any number of god cards, and put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Well, this deck happens to have 4 god cards. Valki, God of Lies, who enters the battlefield. Each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they reveal this way until Valki leaves the battlefield. And I can pay X, choose a creature card exiled with Valki, with converted mana cost X, where Valki becomes a copy of that card. Or, the other side of it, Theobald, Cosmic Impostor. As he enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with, you may play cards exiled with Theobald, Cosmic Impostor, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Comes in with 5 loyalty counters, with a +2, exile the top card of each player's library. -3, target artifact or creature. And then -8, exile all cards from graveyards and add 3 mana. It's so great. And it's so gross. And I don't know why I don't have it in the deck on this side off the hop. Sometimes I think I might have to. In fact, I think I'm going to leave it like that for the next game I play. Because that's just ruthless. We also have Bhaal, Lord of Murder. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting total, Bhaal, Lord of Murder has Indestructible. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature and goad it. So has to swing. And then we have Surtur, Fiery Jotun, Trample, and whenever you cast a historic spell, deals 3 damage to any target. So, again, another reason he just spreads fire and doom and chaos. And the last one to make everything broken. Capitoline, oh my god, I just screwed that up. Ignore. I won't try to say it again because I'm going to get caught on it. The Triad, those who came before this spell costs 1 less to cast for each historic card in your graveyard, which can bring that 10 cost down to nothing, or honestly, a 0 cost, because you can have a 0 cost. And exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with a total mana value of 30 or greater, and I get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness of 9/9. Which, I mean, is doable, and it's just gross. All of those assassins with a 9/9 is just GG's. And then we'll just go into this here because we have 2 last stacks. We have the equipment and the sorceries and instants and enchantments. I'm not going to read off what all of these do. If you do want to see, some of them are going to be a little bit more interesting than others. So I'll give each of them a couple of seconds so you can read them and have a look. A couple of them I do want to shout out, like Smoke Bomb, Flash. All creatures have Shroud, which is great when there's too much stuff going on between people, like spells being casted every turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, I can sacrifice Smoke Bomb, and when I do, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Again, great. We have Catechist's Staff of Hermes. Gives our creatures lifelink. Gives, as long as we have 30 or more life, gives us +5/+5 and Indestructible. We have the Phantom Blade. Again, another good one. Enters the battlefield, attach it up to 1 target creature you control, and destroy up to 1 other targeted creature. And it gives it 1/1 and Menace. Kind of like the Hidden Blade. It gives it Death Touch until end of turn, and then +1/+0 and First Strike. Or the Gauntlet. Allows you to tap creatures. You see where these are going. The assassin stuff is kind of ruthless. Footblade enters the battlefield, gives it First Strike until end of turn, and Haste. Or the Hook Blade. Lots of blades in this deck. We also have the Hunter's Bow. I like how a lot of these come in with attach them already. That way you don't have to pay to equip them. This one's a really good one. Brotherhood Regalia, once you have those creatures on the field, gives it Ward 2. It becomes an assassin if it wasn't already, and it can't be blocked. So the fact that it can't be blocked is just gross. We also have Haystack when you want to phase things out. And then the last 4. These 4 are special. I ran through those because there's a lot of similar mechanics there. These ones are the good ones. We have the Crystal Skull, Isu Spyglass. I may look at the top card of my library anytime, and I may play historic lands and cast historic spells from the top of your library. Plus, it gives me a 1 blue mana. So again, mixed with Ezio, you can really start to do some gross combos with your free running 2 black when you have a really good creature on top of your deck. That being said, Gauntlet of Power. As Gauntlet of Power enters the battlefield, choose color. I choose black every time with this deck. Because most of the creatures have black somewhere in their color scheme, so they get a +1/+1 for that. And whenever I tap a land for a black mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of it. So literally, I pay 1 land and I get a creature per land. So literally, grossest thing I can think of. Especially once you have the World Tree out there, and you're literally just tapping for 1 land for 1 creature. By that point, it's just game over. GG's. Milnir, Stormhammer. Stormhammer. Pardon the language. It's just sometimes the tongue gets caught. When Milnir, yeah, see what I mean? Enters the battlefield, attach it to a target legendary creature you control, and whenever that target or equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. And then they deal damage to each opponent equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. Someone just went full out, has a bunch of creatures tapped on the field. You literally swing at them alone, tap 1 creature, and it's just, you can wipe out a person. And then the last one is Yggdrasil Rebirth Engine. Enters the battlefield, exile all creature cards from my graveyard. Exile the top 3 cards of your cards from my library for the top one. And then 4 and 1, and put a creature card exiled with Yggdrasil onto the battlefield under your control. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So literally, you just, if your first option for exile doesn't work, you have backups. And next, I'm going to start off with some of the fun ones here. We have Bleeding Effect at the beginning of combat on your turn. Creatures you control gain flying until end of your turn. If a creature in your graveyard has flying, the same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. What you can tell, other than Indestructible, every other one of these is basically in the deck except for flying. And so even some of those are almost in there. So literally you just play that, and next thing you know, everything has everything. We have Propaganda, another really gross card, because it makes it so people double think attacking you. Because whenever creatures can attack me unless their controller pays 2 mana for each controller they control that's attacking me. I've had it happen so many times where someone taps all their mana, wants me destroyed, and they swing at me with everything, and I get to look at them and go, no. This one's a fun one. Viewpoint Synchronization with the free running. Brings it down by 2 cost. And it's really good mana pull, because you get to search your library for 3 basic lands, and you get to reveal them, put 2 of them onto the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand, then shuffle. So again, another really good one. We have Terminate, Path to Exile, What Must Be Done, all of our nice board wipes, Murder, Mythos' Fury, Petty Larceny, Chain Assassination, Fatal Push, Go for the Throat, Mortify, you can really tell that there's a theme here. Detained by Legionaries. That's fun when you get to pull some of those off against people. You're just like, no, no, no. Battlefield Improvisation. Target creatures you control get +2/+2. And if that creature is attacking, you may attach any number of equipment you control to it. We have Cathartic Reunion. As an additional cost to the spell, discard 2 cards and draw 3. Eagle Vision, another free running to bring it down to a 2 cost from a 5 cost to draw 3 cards. We got ourselves some token production with Distract the Guards. Also with free running to bring it down from a 3 cost to a 2 cost. And create 3/1/1 white human rogue creature tokens. Overpowering attack. Another free running. Untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. If it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. I just realized I need to see if I have more of these, and I have another deck to put these in. Monastery Raid. Free running X+1. So this is one of those ones that has a bigger cost. But you get to exile the top 2 cards of your library if this spell's free running card cost was paid. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may play the exiled cards until the end of your next turn. And we have Become Anonymous. Exile target non-creature you control, or non-token creature you own, and the top 2 cards of your library in a face-down pile. Shuffle that pile, then cloak those cards. They enter the battlefield tapped. So you really do get to have a little bit of fun with that. And then you have Fall of the Civilization, or First Civilization. You and target opponent each draw 2 cards. Group Hug. Why would you destroy? Exile target artifact an opponent controls. Less Group Hug. Each player chooses 3 non-land permanents they control. Destroy all other non-land permanents. Definitely a Fall of Civilization. We also have the Revelations of Ezio. Destroy target tapped creature an opponent controls. Whenever an opponent you control attacks this turn, put a 1/1 counter on it, and return target assassin creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. We're down to the last 2. We have Coastal Piracy. Whenever your creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. And Reconstruct History. Return up to 1 target artifact card, up to 1 target enchantment, 1 target instant, and 1 target sorcery card, and 1 target planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Then exile this. So, literally, if everything else is failing, they've wiped out a bunch of my board, they've sent a bunch of my cards to the graveyard. Even at the end of the day, we still are able to pull things back. And that has been our full Ezio Auditore di Firenze Commander update. We really appreciate you guys. If you did enjoy, please hit like, hit subscribe. We're on our road to 500. And honestly, if we keep getting views and people enjoy this, we'll keep posting more. See you guys next time.